Over 300,000 Black women have been pushed out of the workforce in the past 90 days, and unfortunately, that number will increase. What are we doing to save ourselves both professionally and personally? I continue my conversation with Mercedes Swan, an HR executive who now helps Black women find their bliss. Here's part 2. How do you get people, though, to turn that dream, not just, we're dreaming, but they don't know. What is the first step they need to take? Like, what does that first step look like? Because I can have the dreams all day long, but I'm like, but how do I manifest it? I can talk about it, pray about it, go to the ocean, talk to the ancestors. I can do all of that. But now what do I do? What do I do? Like, what is the first step? Because I think so many people are tied down to, and I'll say in full transparency, that was a part of my issue as well. I'm like, well, how do I do it? Because I've been so used to performing and doing for other people, not for myself. I still have the same skill set, but how do I transfer that to really create what I want in life, which is to thrive and to have joy and to smile, to have fun, to still do what I love to do.
I think it starts with self-exploration and I know I'm gonna talk about the fluffy stuff and then I'm gonna get to the more tactical, I promise. But
Okay.
I think if we don't start with like opening ourselves up to the possibility, then we never get to the tactical things. And so taking a step back from where we are in our career and saying, what do I really love doing? There's an exercise that I absolutely love. It's called Ikigai. Yeah, I know it's a Japanese word. So Ikigai, Ikigai. There's a book, you can look it up. Again, Japanese word meaning the reason for being. If you've heard the three circles, it's a very similar concept of there are things out there that I can be paid for in the world. There are things that I'm good at. There are things that I love. And there are things that the world needs. That's the basis of Ikigai. And a lot of times finding our passion and our purpose and what we're really meant to do that also supports our lifestyle, right? Because we'll talk about the lifestyle pieces, right? Is exploring that, right? And so if we don't ever ask ourselves, and there's plenty of Black women that I work with that they never ask themselves what they love doing at work each day.
Mm,
Well, it's
mm.
hard to explore what that might look like for a career path if you never ask yourself. Same thing about what they love and what they're good at. And so that's what I would say is to start there with the exploration. And then after you've done the exploration of saying, hey, these are things that I really like doing that I want to do moving forward. Well, let's find out what that might look like for in a career path. And again, we never take the time to look at what that is, right? If I have this very specific skill set that I want to do, well, how do I find that in the market? Well, type the skill set into the search bar on your favorite, job board or whatnot and see what's out there. Don't look at the qualifications. I know you black you black women, you like be like, I don't have this many years. No, hold
Mhm.
it. Just look at the job and just see if you like it. Just see if it's something that's going to excite you each day for work, right? And then as you go through that, just say, okay, how can I really do this? And how can I talk about my skill set in a way that aligns? And that's the process of professional branding. So to break it down and make it clear, explore, find awareness and of your interests and what you want to do. Go look out there and see what's on the market that would actually allow you to do those things on a daily basis, and then to start to align your skill set by branding, saying, hey, I've done that, how have I done that? And then all of that becomes much easier to put on a resume, to interview with, and things like that. I do have a journal that I have. It's called the Career Love Journal. I know, right? Everything's about finding career love.
Yeah.
And it helps you with journal prompts for that to kind of move through those things. So it kind of supports you so that you don't, you're not kind of going through this without without
Mhm.
support. And you have prompts to kind of help you move through that self-awareness journey. So
I love all of that. The notion of moving from point A to point B. So you're in a toxic environment and you're like, okay, I gotta go. So you're looking for the next place because some people maybe don't have it within them to become an entrepreneur, and that's okay.
mm,
So they say, I still have a passion, I still have a dream, but how can I still do it? Working for someone, working for a big company. Maybe my dream was to work with whatever XYZ company all of these years. And how do I get there? But they're also concerned with making sure, even during that interview process, as they're being interviewed, making sure that,
mm.
okay, is this going to be another place that I'm walking right back into the same scenario that I just left? What I loved about one of your posts on LinkedIn is that you said, here are some companies that are available that are saying, hey, we support Black women, we value Black women. How did you come up with that idea? How long did it take for you to put it together? And how did you find the companies to say, hey, yeah, I'm going to put my name out there. I'm going to stick my neck out and say, I love and support Black women. We value Black women. We want you to come work with us and for us.
Yes. Employers out there, they like to do some performative stuff. So employers
Right. And
actually,
we know this.
we know
Mhm,
this, okay?
mhm.
It's true. It's not safe out there, most places.
Right.
And so actually the database is something that I've been just calling it crowdsourced, but has been the recommendation of other Black women. So there's not, unless it's a Black owned business that's kind of self-nominating themselves. I don't add any organizations that would reach out. I don't think I've had any reach out, which is fine by me, right? I'm not, are we ready to have that conversation? I'm not really sure. Of how what I would want to know or need to know to feel comfortable of adding a self-reported organization on that list. But that being said, it started off with my coaching of Black women, right? And just understanding what we need. We talk about opening ourselves up to the possibility of what we've talked about that the entire time. But I had a client that just was like, I don't think there's really any other positive workplaces out there. I can't see it. And so I was like, okay, well, I mean, maybe there are. Like, I've had a positive workplace. You even said it yourself, you worked somewhere positive. So it says that they can't be the only two employers,
Right.
in the
The
entire
entire
country.
country. Right.
I gotta, yeah, the entire country, right? And so I started it as an inspiration of that to prove to her, I was like, hey, there's other ones out there. And I was like, well, of course, other Black women who've had these similar experiences are probably thinking these same things. And so that's where the list was created. I will say, so I don't know if you saw on my LinkedIn as well. I also have ADHD. I was diagnosed as an adult about 2 years ago or so. Maybe I'm at 3 years now. Anywho, all of that being said, it was very quick. I was like very impulsive. I was like, I'm excited about this. So I set it up. It's a Notion database, so it was pretty easy. I love Notion. And so I just set it up, and basically there's a little form on there for individuals to submit the name, and there's a list, and as much information as I can kind of go through and add to it, I try to. But it's just been growing, and I think it's grown the most this year just because I've had more time for social media. We're at about 50 names or so. So I'm excited to add more and just to continue to share that belief that, like, hey, other Black women have reported that these places are safe places to work for them. So it will be for you too. So it's been really exciting to see it grow.
What is one of the number one or, maybe top two stories that resonate with you? Because, a lot of times people hear, okay, this person was able to move away, so their story turned out well, but they're still unsure if they can be that same great testimony. Is there a testimony, someone's story that just really stands out to you that you share with other people? Not just your story, but that you share with other people to let them know this really was horrible for this person. And guess what? They are now thriving because we all need to hear a good story. That someone else's story can help
Yeah.
motivate us to move
Yes.
forward. Is there one that just stands out where you're like, yes?
Yes, I will talk about one of my clients. I won't call her business in the street because I know sometimes it feels a little odd to be like, "Hey, I was using a career coach to move through my job search," and so that's why some people aren't as like very open. But I do have a client. Her testimony is on my website. But she came to me and she was like, "I'm a terrible interviewer. Every time I interview, people are telling me like I'm the worst interviewee that they've ever had," and I was
Right.
like, "What are you doing, girl? What's going
Who tells
on?"
you that? I'm like, that's not very nice.
The things she told me, I was like, well, yeah, I'm not sure.
Right, 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 right,
No, not that we want to be that transparent, but she wasn't great, and I love her for her transparency, her
right.
openness. But I guess her testimony was that she is very qualified. She's in the healthcare field. Very talented at what she did. She's the person that would kind of come in and that happens to Black women a lot, come in when everything's going wrong, right? Patients are being taken care of, the billing, the paperwork, staff is a terrible toxic culture, staff's not doing what they're supposed to do, all of those things that kind of come to be a recipe of like a poor performing clinic, location, whatever. And that was very much her brand, right? And she loved doing it, right? That also meant that she was entering likely toxic environments because that's what she loved doing, right? So it had to get there somehow, right?
Right.
And so the first time that I talked to her, she was like, I've been fired from every job I've ever had. And I
Hmm.
was like, you said what? And my spidey senses, I got my HR hat on a little bit. I was like, you've
Right.
been fired? Like every single one. Like, is everything okay? And she's a lovely lady.
Yeah, you're like, maybe is it really them, or is it really you? Which
Now, I
is it?
wasn't saying that to her, okay? Because I'm just like, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, but my HR hat is on
Yeah.
fire. Okay. Like, are you okay? And so she was in these environments, right, where it would be a leader above her, right, that caused this dysfunction, right? Like, why was this organization as poorly structured and functioning as it would, right? And so they'd have this person higher up. She'd come in reporting to that individual that caused all the issues. And then, therefore, there would be an issue with that supervisor because that's the person that caused these issues, right? So,
Right.
culture comes from the top a lot of the times, right? There are often leaders that can support, like if they're a little bit more insulated, but that culture comes down, right? And so she was consistently in a place where she was threatening her supervisor, right? And doing things differently than the supervisor had asked for, right? And some of these are like regional, and there's different structures all across the board. But what would happen is that there would be something that happened. It would be the one thing, right? The one thing that went wrong. And when you're fixing these types of environments, like yeah, those things happen, right? But because of the strain and the stress between her and the supervisor, it would ultimately lead to essentially her kind of taking the fall or being thrown under the bus for whatever had went wrong for that one thing. And so she found herself being terminated and back on the cycle. Of course, she's very qualified, right? And she has a type of job that she likes, so she would just continue through the cycle. And so we had to think, it was like, okay, I'm glad that you're good at this, but let's think about what this might look like at a higher level. What if you were to go to be what you really wanted to be versus a manager to somebody who's overseeing a regional team, right? You have more leadership, you have more autonomy, you have more power, not in an abusive way, but you have more power to really affect and impact, make the change that you want in these organizations. And so a lot of times as Black women, we have these cycles. I've been fired from every job that I ever had. I can't interview, right? you know it impacts our ability to see ourselves in that higher light. And I was like, no, I absolutely think that you could be, this regional director, right? I think this is in you. I think you got this, right? And so once she felt, we started to build that confidence together, like I mentioned about her seeing herself in that light and having that brand to support her, she went for the job, got the job, right? And was really happy and excited every single day that she went to work. Still in an environment where she was shifting things, but she was also really valued from leadership, right? In the work that she was doing. So I think that's here, right? Our testimony of what can be and what can happen, right? And yeah, propel our careers that way. So yeah, that's my favorite story.
That's great. That's such a great story. Where do you see your business going? Because it feels as if there's a shift, there's been a shift in the atmosphere. When I was going through my situation, it's from like
Yeah.
really from the moment I walked in the door back in 1999. And of course, as I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, you just kind of navigate and you work through it all and you're like, okay, let me just keep pushing through. And yet, when it became too much to bear and to handle, that was right around 2015. But I didn't walk away until 2020. So it was a number 5, 6, 7 years before I finally said, I gotta go.
Yeah.
How do you help people to harness the idea that you may have to start over? And for so many
Mhm.
women, especially those of us who are Black women, we're in our 40s, we're in our 50s, and we're thinking, I
Yeah.
shouldn't have to be starting over now. I don't want
Mhm.
to start over now. I loved what I was doing. How do we, from a psychological standpoint, get to that next place where we don't really have a choice. We have to make a shift. We just have to. But that's, I believe, very difficult for many of us to do, regardless of age, but especially
Mhm.
if you're in your 40s and 50s, because we should have been, we're ready to get ready for retirement. We're seeing the end of our career. And here we are 30 years in, and we're
Mhm.
like, I have to start over.
I guess my question, I talk about a lot of mindset stuff all the time, but I was like, why are we defining it as starting over? I know. Why are we defining it as starting over? Sometime, and I get it, there's always different shifts, but like, is starting over, do we feel like starting over at a new job that's maybe a lateral shift, right? Like, we're doing what we've always done at a different organization, right? And maybe that's new beginnings. Maybe that's growth. Maybe that's exciting change. Maybe that's whatever kind of attracts us to whatever that opportunity is. It doesn't have to be that we're starting over. Starting over kind of says, I came from the bottom, now I'm here, and then I went back down. It's like I don't know. That's kind of the tone of that. But and so there's other things of like people are like, oh well, I don't really like what I've been doing. It's out of alignment for me. I'm not enjoying my career anymore. I want a whole different industry. And people will be like, oh well, I gotta go back down to go back up. And I was like, are you manager role now? You want to move into manager role elsewhere? Yeah. Okay, but I need to get a specialist role over here and then go all the way back up. I'm like, did you try to get the manager role first? Did you go for it?
Yeah.
I got questions.
I'm just asking.
Just asking. Not no judgments. I'm just
Right.
asking right now.
No shade, no
So
shade.
why no shame. I'm just trying to see something.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, okay, well, let's see if you can make that lateral move. Sometimes I've even seen people make a step up, right? Because that management expertise and that experience of leading people, so transferable to other fields and work experiences, even if it wasn't the exact same thing. So let's first see if you can make that shift without feeling like you're starting over or starting from the bottom, and making that shift, instead of seeing starting over as a bad thing, see it as an opportunity for growth or engagement or for a different experience. And I even think for women who are older or who are ready for retirement, oh my gosh, I love it when a Black woman comes to me. She's like, you know what? I've done all of this. I've had all this responsibility. I'm actually looking to chill out a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
And that's not start over energy either. It's like, I'm actually going to pick something that's more in alignment for me, right? Based on where I am in my career. And I think that's okay. And by the way, stepping back doesn't always mean stepping back in pay or value or what or loving your job. It just means that, hey, this type of experience that I had here, I don't want all that responsibility. There are plenty of individual contributors that are making more money than managers. And I've seen that a lot of times in HR.
When it comes to the whole financial aspect, there's some people who are like, wait a minute, I was making six figures. There's no way I'm going to go back to making what I was making, I don't know, 15 years ago. You're asking me to
Mhm.
take a step back. How do you help people reconcile that? That may be the case initially, but over time, you can perhaps, as you mentioned, use those same skill sets, transfer to another area. Maybe you will be promoted within, you have to take a step, but where you were before simply is not an option anymore. But the money aspect is really a big deal for a lot of people. They're like, I was making great six figures. I need to be making six figures, but maybe those six-figure jobs are not out there right now.
I'm gonna be honest. All of my clients who worked with me for a longer term period have not taken a step back. Even if they made a
Mhm.
shift, industry pivot, whatever, they've not taken a step back compensation wise. And I
Okay, so
actually
we
think
need to be
that
calling you. I got a whole bunch of girls. I need to tell my girlfriends, please call Mercedes. Please call her right now.
a step back is a limit. Thinking that you have to take a step back is a limiting belief, right?
Mm, mm. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It does. It starts here and it also starts here because what you
Hmm.
dictates how you move in life and what you say and how you perceive what the possibilities are or maybe are not. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's it really is about the language.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
And it's because we don't lose any of our value when we move to a new job, right? We don't or even if we've been traumatized, we might have some mindset challenges that we don't lose all of our value and experience. And in
Yeah.
fact, there are some opportunities that we can see that would really value what we've done in the past in that pivot, right? So I talk about my experience where I was working in human resources, and my next employer was really excited about the fact that I worked in human resources, and I got a
Mhm.
pay raise for that, right? Because they valued that experience, what I had. It didn't matter that I was pivoting, right? They saw the value in what I could do for the organization based on those past experiences. And so if I had gone through that saying, oh, well, if I want to move into diversity, equity, inclusion, I got to get a pay cut, I probably would have. I probably would have got a pay cut, right? Oh yeah. So that's my take on that.
I
So
love
I can't say that I've ever had that conversation to be honest, because that's not the
no,
goal
that's
for
not what you,
clients.
that hasn't been your
Yeah.
experience, which I love. I love that transparency and the reality that that does not have to be the reality. It really
Mhm.
doesn't.
And I'm saying plenty of people come with me the mindset of that, but I'm like,
Right.
we're not,
We're
we're
gonna
not.
switch that. I love it.
Leave
I
that
love
outside the coaching session. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
love
Bring your full self,
it.
but we're gonna shift it.
We're going to shift it. We're going to shift that language and that mindset. You
Yeah.
really are the career love coach. I just love you. I love your energy. I
Thank
love
you.
I love how you are literally helping to heal Black women's souls. And that's real. That's real. How do you feel about that when you wake up
It's
every morning?
I love it. I love it. I will not say that this journey in terms of being a coach, because being a coach in some ways like a reflection of yourself, right? You have to analyze yourself and say, how am I showing up and what am I doing? What are my beliefs and how are my beliefs impacting my clients and how is this impacting my business growth or who I show up on as online and growing and all the things that come to growing yourself as a business owner and a coach and maybe even like a public presence, right? As I grow.
Mhm.
But that part has been really hard. But showing up for Black women and coaching, I love it. I love, 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 love. And that's, part of it of being unapologetic about showing up for Black women and being a coach for Black women has been that, right? Like I don't want to get if you like me, I'm your person, right? I love that. Come over, let's talk, right?
That's
I have
it.
plenty of clients who are not Black women, right? But I'm so happy and so excited every single day. And I'm unapologetic about showing up like that because it's true. It's what I want to do each day. And so that showing up and helping to your point heal, to see
Mhm.
something different, to shift mindsets, to get that offer, and sometimes even like exiting, right? For to talk about business stuff. Oh my gosh, I just love it because at the end of the day, and this is the most important piece for myself as well as other Black women is this idea of Black women bliss and like how do we shape our careers and our businesses and what we do to ultimately support the life that we want to live. And that's what it is at the end of the day. So yeah, that part is
Um,
love. That part is all excitement. And to answer your question about how I feel when I'm waking up each day, I'll always be honest. Like sometimes the business stuff, I'm like, oh, today's an anxious day. I got a lot of stuff to do for my business today. I'm
mm,
not gonna, I won't, I won't be the person that romanticizes being a business owner.
mm,
But knowing that every single day that I wake up is impact,
mm.
is calling, purpose work. That's amazing. I love it.
Oh my
Um,
God. I love that word bliss. I tell people at the end of the show, I always ask, first I say thriving in life really is our birthright. We were born to thrive in life. We were not born to be harmed. We were not born to be abused. We were born to thrive in life. How do you, Miss Mercedes Swan, how do you thrive in life? What else brings you joy outside of your business?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so outside of my business, so I live out in the middle of nowhere in Florida, rural Florida. It's two streets out here where I live. And it's just we have a pond. It's just there's cows across the street. I always joke about that. It's a very rural living kind of situation. And I was born and raised in Orlando, so I never really thought that this would kind of be I wouldn't like it as much. Like I was the child that went to Disney on the weekends. I was like, how could this be? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could this be interesting? But I really love the peace and I guess the quaintness of it. And live here with my fiance and my two puppies that I dragged out of the room before our call. But that, like, having a moment to like breathe and just exist and have the freedom of being a business owner right now is really refreshing to me. And I think that is bliss. My future goals, I really love traveling. I really love playing games. I'm a cozy gamer, so those are things that bring me a lot of bliss. And so I hope to be, in the future traveling around the country with who I call Fiambe, my two dogs. But that's kind of where I am right now in the journey of yeah. But I would say
No.
those are the big things. Yeah.
Well, I love your smile. I love your spirit. The three-letter word that comes to mind as soon as I first saw you was joy. You're full of joy, and we need more of that, especially for all people, but specifically for Black women, because we're tired, we're exhausted, and we need to regain that joy. We need to find it again and recapture it and to live unapologetically. So thank you for all that you're doing. I so appreciate you.
Thank you so much for this.